In today's video, I have Maria on a Zoom chat. And Maria was asking me a whole bunch of questions about personal branding, how to navigate it, what to talk about, how to really unlock her authentic voice. And that's really what I want to share with you on this video, because I think there's a lot of other people who are having similar questions, similar struggles. Enjoy.
I'll just tell you kind of like a bit about myself and like how I came to find your content.
Sure.
And then that kind of leads into a couple of questions.
Yeah, I love it.
So like you, I developed a passion for career strategy after finding myself in a minimum wage job after years of schooling and hustling, and kind of just realizing that the amount of effort you put in yourself and in your schooling or in your hustling doesn't always correlate to where you'll find yourself in a few years. You really have to be strategic with your efforts, and you really have to understand the game as a whole on a macro level, as opposed to just focusing on like these little things that we're just told to do mindlessly, essentially.
And I love that you actually referenced it as a game, because it is, right? It's not your personality. It's not your identity. It is a game that's being played in society that has nothing to do with your value in the world, right? And that's why I love saying that it is a game and making sure people recognize it as such. But anyway, keep going.
Oh, okay. But yes, I completely agree. And
yeah.
We can talk about that again later.
Sure. Yeah.
So after some networking and a bit of luck, I was able to find my footing in digital marketing. But I still felt like there was something that was missing for me to feel like I was truly making strides in my career, because that fear was really installed in me with the whole having to be in a minimum wage paying job again. So I was really looking for something that I can feel like to learn the game more, just master it better. So, and that's kind of how I landed on your content, which led me to start a blog and a YouTube channel, which have been great learning opportunities, especially in quarantine. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of like what led me to reach out to you. Right. So how would you, like, the crux of my question to you is, how would you recommend applying Pareto's 80-20 principle to my side hustle, to my personal branding kind of side hustle? Meaning, how can you optimize content creation or impact, more importantly, on a tight time limit? Because with a full-time job, it's kind of hard to try to find that balance. And I know you're a big proponent of trying to find a balance, and also focusing not so much on like the resume as much as like your home resume as well. Like, you have to find kind of that balance, but it's also this interesting night shift mentality of like, what are you doing on your second shift?
Yeah.
You know? So how have you been able to kind of juggle that, and where do you find the most impact in your content creation?
Yeah. So because I've been doing it for a couple of years, I've gotten really good at chunking the work, right? So whether it's, in my corporate gig, I wind up single focusing. I say for the week, like, what is literally the one thing? Gary Keller, The One Thing book, right? If you want to read about like single focusing, and there's another book called Essentialism. And actually, it goes beyond the Pareto. It goes to the 90-10. He makes a argument that 90% of what we do is total bullshit, and 10% is actually valuable.
Oh.
And you think about your workday in corporate America, or workday just in general, right? Pre-COVID, you're at work. There's tons of side meetings. You go to lunch. You're draining time driving there. You're draining time driving back. There's walking to a meeting. There's hours and hours that are just totally waste, right? Interestingly, with COVID, what winds up happening is I'm able to condense my day down. Because also in corporate America, when we're in an office culture, everybody's sitting there and you're like, well, Bobby just left, so I can leave. There's all these like social norms around the office culture that can either be toxic or good, right? I guess it just depends the mix of different things. But you're just supposed to be there for 10 hours. And yet the brunt of my deliverable that I needed to do for that day was 2 hours. Right. And if you really think about the essential work, the thing that your leadership team is going to need to see for you to succeed, and the rest of the emails that you get from people that shouldn't be prioritized, right? Like I literally don't even log into my email during the day, my work email, not at all. people will use that as like this reactionary thing. I got an email, got to stop my thing, got to respond to it. But people don't understand this task switching mentality, and it goes back to chunking your work. If I'm task switching between an email and something else, or if I see that notification pop up on my screen, the first thing that happens is I have to decouple my mind from what I was doing and the deep work that I was doing in writing a document, and I have to react. And I don't want to live like that. My email is off, and I focus on the thing that I need to do, and I focus on the one thing. And like notifications and chats that come in, people are like, "Did you read my chat?" I'm like, "No, I didn't read your chat." Because I don't care about your chat right now, because you can set up a meeting with me and we can chunk that at another time. And so it comes back to the same thing, like with work. I try to be highly efficient with my time during the day, and then I have my time in the early morning that I can create posts. And what I might do is I might create 3 or 4 or 5 posts all at once, because I'm already in that mind of writing and in that mind of creativity. And then the same thing winds up happening with YouTube. Like I'll create 4 videos at once, and I'll sit and I'll turn the camera on and I'll shoot a video for 5 minutes, turn it off. Good, got one. Shoot another video, got another one. Right. And I just go. And so then I find myself literally not even doing anything on YouTube at all or LinkedIn at all for 2 or 3 weeks. And yet people are like, how do you pump up so much content? And so that's how I'm able to do it. And on the weekends, I don't spend any time writing content at all. I'm not editing videos. I'm not doing any, like, the weekends are off limits.
Wow.
So I still have those 2 days to hang with the fam, and go mountain biking and go skateboarding and doing some of
Be
the things that we
present.
want to do. Yeah, and so that's been the path. Like I'm pretty much like full on during the week. Like it's like early morning, day of work, hang out with the fam, dinner, bedtime, and then after that, I'm creating content, scheduling meetings like this right with you, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it, and I think the efficiency comes over time. But yeah,
And did you find simplifying your content? Because I did notice in the beginning, when you shot videos, you had your T-shirt, and it had a whole different vibe in the
totally different vibe.
beginning.
Yeah.
And so, was that something that you kind of learned throughout the YouTube process to like kind of minimize your editing, minimize the setup? Like, is that kind of part of your strategy too, or?
Yeah. I think so. The initial YouTube journey is really kind of fascinating for me to reflect on, because I actually cringe when I watch some of my old videos, because
No.
it doesn't. Yeah, no, because it really doesn't even feel like me.
Mm.
And I was trying really hard to portray a brand and a
Mm.
persona, and I went through great lengths to get there with that. With
Mm.
I bought this. I told myself I'm not going to create a video unless it looks amazing. I bought a lighting kit for $300, and I bought this like crazy green screen backdrop so I could cut out the background and put the like John Marty thing all over it. And I did the logoed T-shirts
Mhm.
and the little watermark on the right. Like I did, and I remember I sent my buddy 4 different versions of a video with different color grades and changes to contrast and color, because
Wow.
I want it to be so perfect. And I'm wondering, like, why did I do that? And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Like at the time, I felt a pretty low level of self-worth because I had just kind of come off the whole Best Buy thing.
Mm.
I was trying to kind of prove to society that I was somewhere. And
Mhm.
I was trying to prove to myself that I was somewhere, and I was fearful also of what other people would think of me, because it was a very divergent path. It's like, what is this guy who works at American Express doing, talking about motivation? And so a lot of different factors were going on in my head back then, but it's so fascinating for me to look back at it, And I go, like, right now, I would much rather speak to you on a YouTube video and have a real conversation. And I'm sitting on my floor in my living room. Like, I'm literally just sitting on the floor,
Mhm.
and because, like, it's real. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Authenticity really
Yeah,
translates well. Yeah, I
totally,
agree.
totally. So anyway, that's that.
No, I can totally relate to that. And like, that's kind of, I think I'm at the beginning stage of where you were, where you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to see, like, project this professionalism and project this authority.
Yeah,
Like that's where but I feel like the difference being like I'm very much at the beginning of my career, so I'm like I can't really rely on years of experience or what's it called, or any other source of authority essentially, because I'm really just getting my footing and I want to get more and more comfortable creating the content. And I think that's kind of where I get stuck. It's like I have this vision of like what I think it should look like, or versus like things I would personally want to watch.
yeah,
And I
right.
kind of get stuck between the two because I'm like, am I building a CV, or am I trying to build, or am I trying to just create content because I want to create? I don't know. Like, do you
Oh no, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. Like I struggled with that so much when I first started. I'm like, I could talk about all these things. I could be this person or that person. And I
yeah.
told somebody else I was talking to, is really funny. He came to me and he was like, "Hey John, I want to start this YouTube channel." I was like, "This is great, man. Let's have a conversation on the back porch and like hash it out." And he shows me a thumbnail image, and this
Mm-hmm.
thumbnail image is a picture of his face smiling, imposed with a backdrop of a Ferrari. How to be a millionaire.
Oh,
And I was like,
I've seen
bro,
that one before.
well, right, right, like hashtag everybody, right?
yeah.
And so I was like, why would you portray that? That is not you, man. Like the you that I know, the you that sits across from me and has a real conversation at a coffee shop about like what's going on in your life, that's you. You're not this guy. And I said, dude, you don't even own a Ferrari. Why the hell are you trying to posture with a Ferrari? Because you're trying to get views, you're trying to get likes, because that's what other people do to get views and likes, but it's not real. And yes, you will gain an audience from doing that type of crap, but you're not going to gain the audience that you want. What you want
Mm.
is human connection.
Yeah.
You're doing content creation to gain a community of people who believe what you believe. That's
Mm.
why you do it. You're not doing it for an audience or some random thing. You're doing it to just say, I want to meet a whole bunch of other people that I would love to hang out with. That's what
Yeah.
I want to do. And so, anyway, like when you think about creating your videos, think about
Mm-hmm.
the conversation that you're having with me right now.
Mm.
And while you're filming, say, is this the me that is sitting across from a friend having coffee? Or is
Mm.
this the me that is trying to be somebody for someone else?
Deep.
Deep,
Yeah. Deep.
right? And
That's.
it took me like a long time to even recognize that. Yeah, it's there's somebody on YouTube you should follow.
Mm.
Her name is Sunny Lenarduzzi.
Okay.
Okay. And Sunny, it talks about personal branding, social media marketing. She's grown a pretty significant empire on YouTube.
Mm.
And notice in her most recent videos. So all of her videos until now have been, here are 5 tips on how you blah 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 blah. Let's get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it. And yeah, cut to music, cut to all this crap, right?
Mm.
Now, over the past few weeks, her videos have been her no makeup, chair in the bedroom,
Mm.
hair messed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's just talking. She's just being
Mm-hmm.
real. And part of her audience is obviously being alienated, right? Because they want to see that flash. But yet what she's been able to do, and she talks about it on a video, what she's been able to do is like she says her response has been absolutely overwhelming.
Mm.
And she said in one of her videos, like the you part of YouTube is what YouTube
Mm.
wants to see. The you, the real you, not the persona you. So anyway, it's fascinating stuff, right? Small nuances in psychology and how we communicate go a long way.
Yeah. What I find fascinating too, it's kind of like we're in the beginning, we're all trying to kind of project this ideal image, and then ultimately it just makes everyone else feel insecure. It's kind of ironic how that's usually like the Ferrari type of content is usually the one that does the best or does very well, but at the same time it's kind of feeding into everyone's insecurity. So it's kind of like content is like this really interesting double-edged sword where it can be good when you use it well, and it can also feed into your insecurities if you use it poorly. So
Yeah.
no, it's a lot to think on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I spent a couple of years thinking on it.
Yeah, no, but it worked out. And like actually about your content in particular. So you mentioned that like you have a passion for self-help, career strategy. And I was wondering, how did you choose that, or did you notice that's the type of content you prefer talking about versus like hyper focusing more on like product management and like just being in the tech space? Like how did you, because I know that you do both, but I feel like a lot of people, if they were to take like the common advice of just find your niche and exploit that niche, they would have maybe just stick more to the content that's specific to their profession. How did you choose to diversify?
Yeah, I mean, while I started my content, like when I was talking about like motivation and happiness, those are things that I was really struggling with. So
Mhm.
I wasn't posting that content like I was posting that content to learn myself, right? I was digesting the things that I had been reading about at the time because I was struggling so much. And so I put those videos out and I kind of at the time I portrayed myself as an expert. I didn't portray myself as like, man, I'm like really having trouble.
Mm.
Because that would have resonated, right? Because but also that was a really weird thing for me to do at that point because I wasn't ready to talk about that story of like
Mm.
struggling because I had just made it to American Express and I wanted to portray myself as like some version of success to make myself feel better. But what I really needed to do is just be real. I am struggling hard, but I have a mission to not be struggling hard.
Mhm.
And I would have gotten subscribers, not because I wanted subscribers, right? But I would have gotten subscribers because of that authenticity at the time.
Mm.
So I don't know. I just so I think about content from the start. That's where I started, right? And then it became I think I'm pretty good at this career navigation stuff, like the $12 an hour Best Buy thing, landing a pretty good job at American Express. And then once I figured out how to kind of pull the right levers and get the attention to me on my LinkedIn profile,
Mhm.
then the Amazon thing happened. And then I was like, I'm like pretty darn good at this. And so that's when I started talking about the career stuff and then the salary negotiation stuff and all these other arenas because I want people to know that it is a game
Mhm.
that you can play and that you can win if you pull the right levers. And yeah, so I mean, my content is all over the place, but also, I think that's the beauty of it. I think that the body of work that you create is your brand, not
Mhm.
just a niche. And over time, if you take a 5-year funnel and you say, I'm right now at the top of my funnel, I'm just
Mhm.
starting. I want to talk about personal branding. I want to talk about content creation. I want to talk about all these things. I'm not necessarily an expert. No problem. I'm not going to portray myself as an expert. I'm just going to be real talk. And
Mhm.
then I'm gonna funnel and I'm gonna follow the energy.
Yeah.
And in a year, if I hate talking about my day job, then that's a great indicator that you shouldn't be talking about your day job. And it's a scary thing for a lot of people to stumble upon
Mhm.
where it's like, whoa, I am not liking my day job. And that's great. That's great because the more content you create, the more you're pulling people into your world that believe what you believe in the arena that you want to go. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and hearing you describe that, sorry, hearing you describe that, it really sounds like your content grew with you. Because
It
I
grows
think
with
that,
you.
yeah, and it sounds like while you were speaking, I also was thinking about how many content creators they kind of just feel they stagnate because they don't grow with their brand and with their audience because your audience is growing with you and their interest about like and their curiosities change. So hearing you speak like that, it makes sense why how you've been able to grow so much momentum since the beginning because you've let it grow with you and you've let your audience kind of go along on that journey,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
It's true. No, thank you. It's like really inspiring because you don't know what YouTube content creation is like until you get behind the driver's seat and you realize of all the little cogs that kind of go with it, and also how much introspection you end up doing because of it, because you're forced to watch your face for like hours on end more than anyone else.
And you see quirks in your face, right? You see the way that you speak, and you're editing those videos, and you're noticing how many times you say or like. And it helps you become a better speaker. If nothing else, if you do it for nothing else, don't do it for anybody else. Do it for you to grow personally.
Exactly. Yeah,
And it's an archive. It becomes an archive, where I started, where I ended up.
definitely. Especially when you let it be authentic and grow with you. Yeah,
Totally.
I love
Totally.
that.
Yeah.
I want to be really respectful of your time. We
Oh
have
yeah, no
one
problem.
minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just gonna, I don't, are you okay for one last question?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm totally good. I can go over like a hair here.
Okay. One last question. Just let's see what we got in the little yellow notebook.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious. Do you consider yourself a marketer? Because you create really great content and you market yourself really well. So do you kind of identify with that aspect, or for you is it more? Do you see yourself more as just like a branding expert, or in some ways you're your own product? So are you managing the product that is your personal brand? Like, how do
You
you kind
nailed
of
it.
frame it?
Yeah, you nailed it. I'm a social media marketing company of one. That's what I
Yeah.
am. Right? That's what I am. All day long, every day, I'm a
Mhm.
social media marketing company of one, because I feel like if I put myself in the forefront, 99% of people are not doing that.
Mhm.
99% of people are consuming content. They are not writing content. So what's really fascinating, look at YouTube. If you look at YouTube in the niche that you're in, or the niche that I'm in, there are like 3 or 4 players, actual real players who are constantly creating, who are strategically creating the right thumbnails to get the keyword search, right? When you do a search for social media marketing 101 or whatever, you see like the same 3 or 4 people pop up every time. And then there's
Mhm.
everybody else. And then look at for example, if you take any product company, Amazon, for example, you take a really popular product category and you look at the distribution of who makes the big bucks,
Mhm.
and you see this massive hockey stick, right? You see there's like 5 players at the top getting all the money, doing all the right things, and then everybody else is long tail.
Mhm.
And so I feel like no matter what, you get out there and you start and you just talk about who you are and what you do, and it puts you, just by doing it once, put you ahead of the crowd by a mile. By
Mhm.
doing it consistently over a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, people come to you with opportunities that you would like never imagine.
Mm.
And then you look at how you've grown and you're like, how could somebody not do this?
It's a huge lever. You were talking about levers and like playing the
Huge.
game, and I think that's a huge one. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
So
amazing. Oh.
yeah, I don't, keep up with the YouTube channel. Seriously, keep on doing it. Um, and try to just be as authentic as possible. And if you
Mhm.
want to talk about a topic, don't come at it from the perspective of like, hey, I'm an expert yet.
Yeah.
Just come at it from the perspective of like, I learned about this thing today. I want to share it with you guys. Here are 3 things.
Mhm.
And it kind of,
Exactly.
it like breaks that barrier of like, is this person like an expert? Like
Yeah.
how do I navigate this?
It's a different type of connection. It's
It
less
is.
an
It is.
authoritative connection. It's more of like, come along on my journey while
Come
I
along my
figure it
journey.
out, because we're all figuring it out together.
Yeah. And by no means do I have anything figured out. Seriously. Like when I when
You
I
got
when
me
I
fooled though, because you really.
oh well, I, I
I
appreciate I appreciate that, but no, but I really don't. Like there's like so many things. If I ever come to the mindset of like I have things figured out, then I
mean,
think that I've failed. So yeah, there are certain elements of me where I'm like, yeah, I've become like stronger in my mind with a
mhm.
lot of concepts, but like I'm nowhere near where I feel like I need to be in my mind, because societal forces are so strong, that it is a constant work in progress. So
Yeah. And I think that's how you stay relevant, and that's how you stay like just like motivated, is knowing
Yeah.
that there's always more that you can do. But just
Yeah.
so you know, at least from a third party outsider perspective, you've
Yeah.
got a lot of really important things figured out, especially your posts about like how do you determine success, and how do you like the fact that you were you decided to live like a smaller lifestyle with a bigger salary. All these things personally really resonated with me, and I'm so happy that you take the time to share it because they're really
Thank you.
important reminders.
I appreciate it.
It's good.
Seriously. That's awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's do this again sometime, okay?
I'd love.
And keep me posted on the journey. You could send me like a little voice memo on LinkedIn. Just like keep me updated. Hey, post another video, or hey, I got a question. Um, uh,
Oh,
I'm there for you.
I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, take care. All right, we'll see you.